Hello, friends, well wishers. Welcome to K.O.K. Live on Afiatv. You can reach out to us on channel 254 DSTV or channel 17 GOTV or Afiatv Official on other social media platforms. We are back here again to discuss another great and interesting topic. The man who is sitting here today, when he interviewed me sometime this year or last year, he was on the other side. Today, I'm the one interviewing him and talking to him. He is the eye of the Eastern Eye. And Mr. Alex Ogbodo is a solutions journalist. Solutions journalist. He's going to tell us what that means. And an alumni of the United States Nigeria Media Co-op. He's the head of news and current affairs in Afiatv and the host of the Eastern Eye. It's good to have him on this edition of the show. Alex, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, the great K.O.K, for having me.
Always a pleasure. Quite a very good way to start when you say solutions journalist.
Yeah. My own style of journalism, I see stories from the point of view of what we can salvage. I see what you are looking at the bottle as half full and not half empty. So I look at stories with a pinch of optimism. So for me, I'm not a merchant of bad news. I don't see myself as that person who's always hungry.
But bad news is the one that sells.
Well, because typically the business we do isn't about selling news. It's about reporting what has happened. You know, there's a way you report stories to your people. You give them high blood pressure. So typically my own style is to find ways of not compounding the problems of our people. Even in the midst of all the problems, there could still be dots of things. How people are responding to the problems is equally more important than the problems themselves.
All right. Obiter dicta is in law something on the side. I just wanted to get what that means. But today we are discussing culture, tradition, and what people should know, relationship and so on. For instance, it came to us on good authority. A boy and a girl, a brother, sister, married for 13 years in 2008. Got married, got wedded in 2011. Had their first child in 2011, second child 2015. They now found out they are brother and sister. And it brings us to this level to ask, what are the things before marriage, what questions must be asked?
First of all, Onyemologi, like the Igbos would say, who is your father?
Very good.
That's a very important and fundamental question if you're going to marry someone.
Not to start knacking.
No. You see, even before you start exchanging body fluids, you should know who you are with.
I like that language, body fluids.
Yes, because you see, in this part of the world, if you don't ask questions, there's a song they used to sing, Metonye di mei. Makonono. Because the moment you start feeling attracted to someone, there are probably more than one thing that drew you to the person. So you must be in a situation where you have to move higher with the person if the situation calls for it. Kedafaye, what's your name? My name is K.O.K. Then you graduate to the other one.
Where do you come from?
Where are you from? Where are you from? Because when you answer these questions, I like to speak a lot of our language.
No, go ahead with it. Go ahead with it. It's culture we're talking about. Yes.
When you hear the word, you know how to answer it. So if your father is K.O.K, where is he from? So we understand that people can come from broken marriages. If that is the situation, then you have to find out. If you're not living with your father and you're living with your mother, find out, who's your mother? Where is she from?
Yes.
Was she married before?
Very good.
Need to find out those things before you start moving 120 kilometers per hour with a person. Because the moment you do the first thing last, or you do the last thing first. It can cause problems for whoever is getting into such a relationship. I'm sure that if they had asked the pertinent questions. Before you get to the point where you marry someone, it will have to move beyond you. People in your family must know. In fact, before you marry, if you have a father, you have to go to your father and tell your father.
Yes, before you get to that, there's this tendency for those who live in Nigeria and those who live in the diaspora to confine themselves out of their communities. They don't go for town meeting, village meeting, as long as that concern the knowledge of Africa is that of diabolism and so on. They don't want anybody around them. And these are the guys who make this mistake. Because before now, what used to happen is, like you expressed, who is your father? But now it's about which kind car the guy can come. In get big bowler and so on. And it has led us into places. So we still want to delve into that structure of how people, what questions we're asking now, what questions were asked then that gave rise to stability in marriages. Go ahead.
So typically, just the point you made, it looks like the values are shifting because people get into marriage relationships now, ticking certain boxes.
Okay.
And one of the boxes now will be sexual satisfaction.
Okay.
Sexual expectations.
Very good.
Those kind of things. Because of the sort of advertorials you see, people are hyping this and hyping that. Things that will make you last like an inverter in bed. And people are paying attention to these things, overlooking the fact that having a child moves beyond satisfying the woman. Only married people will understand this, that your bola is big or whatever it's called will not be as important as when God wants to bless you with children. And because children are gifts from God. If you like, you can run it from now till next year. If God hasn't decreed that you will have children, you will probably not have them. So you have to look beyond having to move immediately to sexual satisfaction. Because the truth is, when you marry, you will have quite a full dose of sexual enjoyment, if that is what you want. But that's not the only thing that is important in marriage, because that's usually where there's a point of digression for people who want to marry and they don't want to go through the rigors of making the introductions. Your kinsmen will follow you to the place. And if they don't see things they like, they will start objecting. They will tell you that they came there, all the buildings around them are dilapidated. You have everybody here, they're looking like they are mad people. They are looking, people will make observations that the day they went to do Ibanju, that they are not quite impressed with what they saw. And there are what do you call Secret Service kind of Ibanju. People will send emissaries to the village or the town where the person comes from.
Yeah, do some
underground work. Somebody will just be asking random questions about a family. You wouldn't know why those questions are coming up.
Especially from the beer parlor, where because every village has one man who lives on one leg and talks about what is not asked. And just give me a bottle of beer and he tells you.
That person will sing like a canary, and then you get the information. Exactly. So when you get this information, it will enable you to make informed decision whether to go ahead. Because there's something they say that
I like that. So when they say marriage is number, what do you really?
Yeah, I mean, especially for someone like me that I didn't marry from this part.
Okay.
So you can understand that the moment you marry, you have created a connection between you and the community you are marrying from.
Okay.
Now, and because you are not just the person getting married, it becomes a union of families and communities. If I'm from Enugu State and I'm married from Bayelsa, actually. So it means that I have a connection with those from Bayelsa. Anytime news about Bayelsa comes up, I'm just interested for reasons I don't know, but you can understand why. I now have a connection. I'm looking out for my wife. That's where she comes from. So if you marry, where you come from and where your wife comes from will become paramount in your mind. And even those in politics do this. You're not surprised that sometimes some high-ranking politicians will just come to a state and are setting up things. You don't know why. when you ask questions, they'll tell you, that's where his wife is from. So you can imagine if your wife makes a demand, and it's a demand you can fulfill, would you waste time to fulfill that? So if your wife asks you to make her local government the capital of the new state, if you're in a position to give her a new state, what do you think you would do? You name it twice.
You name it twice. I like that. Now, we are having a Gen Z generation who believe less in our culture, in our tradition. These days, you will see a girl telling her parents, I will not drink that palm wine. I will not drink that, I will put my own drink and so on. Uncles are not trusted and so on. Now, when we read the Bible, it was a traditional wedding that Jesus attended. Why is traditional marriage a must?
Yeah, because actually, traditional marriage crystallizes the union. I'm not sure you would say you are married if your people haven't witnessed the marriage in the real sense. Because that's actually the marriage. Take us
through that route.
Yes, because that's actually the marriage your parents blessed. Your parents actually give their blessings, especially because in traditional marriages, it happens in the girl's domain. So the father will bless the union. Without that blessing, and I'm not sure, because the blessings of the father is very important. Even in the Bible times, if you're a scholar of the Bible,
a blessing without a father is a kidnap.
So that is it. So imagine that you've come to marry someone and the father refuses. You will find a way to appease the man to agree. Because you want the man to say, may your union be blessed and fruitful. You want the man to bless the marriage. So meaning that anything that will make that blessing not happen is actually undermining the real essence of that union. That girl is not going to be fulfilled wherever you take her to. If you like, take her to London, take her to Germany. It will always hang on her mind that this marriage was not blessed by either her father or even her parents. Sometimes they can even elope. Some people actually elope totally because they can afford it. They elope to the US or UK. At the end of the day, you see people coming back after 10 years or 15 to actually hold that traditional marriage. It has happened. Even after giving birth to children, you will have to come back and they will have to pay your dowry. You fulfill all the requirements for getting married in your community. All the drinks that are required, all the tubers of yam, depending on where you come from. All those things on that marriage list will need to be fulfilled, because at the end of the day, it will be counted for you that you were properly married. That's what in different Igbo communities, that's what happens. If you are up to the marriage age and your marriage did not go according to the custom of the land, it can be problematic for you. It will be, people will be whispering.
Okay. Now, talking about...
you are just French.
Now,
you are just friends.
You're talking about
your boyfriend and
dowry
girlfriend.
payments.
Yes.
Many of us...
Or bride price.
Bride price.
Bride price.
Bride
That's
price.
what it is.
Bride price.
Bride price.
Many communities have come under the hammer of people who discuss on the social media, on traditional media, and so on. Especially my place from BC. Say we have the highest bride price and so on. I'm not going to deny it here, but we need your input. Is this bride price deterring young men from getting married?
It's not the bride price.
What is
they
it?
say? There's a long list that will take you from here from...
Tell us the long list.
Lagos to Entebbe. You have daddy's wrapper, mommy's wrapper, mommy's box, tubers of yam for
uncle's opening of the door.
Uncle's opening of the door. So there are a lot of frivolous items on the list. I say they are frivolous because if you take your mind 100 years back, those things were never a requirement for getting married. You show up with palm wine and cola. What else were the Igbo communities requiring to get married 150 years ago? The historians who are watching us or listening to what we're saying can bear witness to this. What you now see in the marriage list across Igbo land are merely things that were fabricated by people who are home, a way for them to exploit those who are coming to marry their daughters. But this hasn't painted us well as a people. Our culture, especially for marriage, is not that materialistic.
Okay.
If you take your mind back, I'm typically saying 150 years because if you take a look at that time, we haven't had a lot of connection with civilization.
Yes.
So what would you need? Kola nut, palm wine, and a few items. It was never an extravagant venture because at that time, people were mainly into farming. So at what point did we start adding cigarette? Did we start adding tobacco, boxes? Well, tobacco may be there, but there are very expensive line items. It's like looking at the state budget. You start seeing line items that you know that these people don't need this.
This is the auntie who gave her first bet.
Yes. So, and someone says,
robbed her first powder.
This was the person that paid our WAEC fee. So, and at the end of the day, the father takes it to one corner and says, the bride price will need to be high because I paid our school fees. So, is it slave trade? Are you paying off to take the child? No, because at the end of the day, she is still your child. It's just that you've given her hand in marriage. So, if you auction off your child, what it means is that the man might start treating her like a commodity.
No, that's exactly the point I'm trying to make by telling you that it happened. The man, after paying a humongous amount of money, took the girl back to his house and said, you're not going here until I recover my money. That what your village people did to me. I saw hell.
So she became a commodity.
Oh, yes.
So this is not nice because at the end of the day, there's nothing that shows that this was really customary. It's just a figment of people's imagination, and they start fixing it on the lists. And if you even take your mind back 30 years, what you used to see in marriage lists, all of them have evolved. They've evolved. The other day, there was an argument in a place I went to. So, what are you people still doing with cigarettes?
Very good.
On a marriage list? Who's smoking, considering all the risks about it? So, there are many arguments about some demands people make as to what should be in a marriage list.
That should be your recommendation.
Yes, because the point
should have a review of the marriage list.
There has to be a review. If a wealthy man is coming to your community to marry, it will be at the behest of the man if he wants to be generous. You can build a hall for your people. You can do something. You can even sink a borehole. But when you harass him with a list, then after looking at that list, he will be put off. Because the person who's coming to marry, he is now your ogre.
Yes.
He will So the person will visit that community from time to time. When there's a celebration, I don't even want to use something sad.
Yes.
When there's a celebration.
Or chieftaincy to be conferred.
Yes. So you don't want to create a situation where when he remembers everything that he went through trying to marry the lady, he decides to day his day, like we say. He will day his day, either in Lagos, Abuja, or overseas. So after all, they harassed me with a list from Lagos to Entebbe. I'm not doing a thing. So we have to create an environment that enables us to carry our culture in such a way that when we pass the torch, our children will inherit exactly what is our culture, not a figment of the imagination of some people's greed.
Well, now, I'm disturbed, and I want to know whether you're disturbed too. When I got married, 1999, I sponsored my traditional wedding and everything. Now, what's your view about parents sponsoring everything?
It's quite disturbing, really. What it tells you is that the child being sponsored is not up to the task.
Okay.
You should be up to the task. We're not saying that people who are getting married shouldn't be helped. I mean, people can give you money here and there.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, go on and on,
yes. Show will.
Yeah, you have to take the lead. You are the one who wants to get married. It's not a tea party. You know that. You've been married since 99. So you have to take the lead. If in every inch you are given a soft landing, you may never learn the valuable lessons in the process of marriage because they've paid for this. Before you turn and say, I want a suit. The suit is here waiting for you. I want Ishiago. Ishiago is hanging on the wall. Everything you want. I'm not saying it's not good for people to have people who gift them things, but there has to be things you do so that at least you have a memory that you got married. Because it will start feeling like people married for you. I don't know whether the English is correct. That's how we put it. They had to arrange a wife for him. That's what it is. I mean, if you are not the one powering your marriage up to 70 to 80%, that's what it is.
But you're not the real man. You are not the real man.
Yes. They arrange it for you.
But tomorrow,
they even choose the place you go for honeymoon.
Exactly.
That's what it means. So you have to be careful. Work hard enough to be able to finance your marriage ceremony. At least 70%. Let me be very modest.
Yes.
People will always reach out to you when you are getting married. Okay. You should be able to do it.
Now, courtship. Married today, divorced tomorrow. Do we place a premium on how long people should date? Or what is the value of understanding before people should begin to say, I got no?
People should know themselves.
Because the rate of divorce is very high.
Wow. People should know themselves before they marry. And that's why it's not good when you meet someone today, tomorrow, you are telling the person that I will marry you. You don't know the person. You need to know the person in all seasons.
This knowing, is it the one Sarah knew Abraham knew Sarah?
Abraham knew Sarah.
What is it? This knowing. Let's define this knowing.
I think it's more or less character analysis. But you need time. You need time for all the hidden things to be revealed to you.
Because it must come out.
It's like the book of Revelation. There are people whose temperaments change during the dry season. It also modifies during the rainy season. You need to know these things. There are people who probably will behave funny during a leap year. You never know. You never know these sort of things. So you need a little bit of time. You need time with the person you want to marry. And that's why courtship is important. You can't just marry someone from the blues. If that happens, there are details about the person you don't know. And when you venture into that marriage blindly, you are going to be shocked. There's something they call in boxing, it's a slugfest. When you meet your match in the ring, you are trying to punch the person, but you just notice that each time you throw a punch, you get a punch in return. It's called in boxing counter punching.
Okay.
So when you get a woman that is always counter punching, I don't mean that in a physical sense.
Yes.
But you see, and if you're not a very vocal person and you marry a counter puncher, you're possibly going to be knocked out before the marriage gets to the 5th year because you will just be upset that you're always trying to be heard in the relationship. You must understand the role of communication because at the end of the day, if you cannot communicate with your partner, that's how we put it. You're finished.
All right. Now, in the present day reality, and be honest about this, I don't want to understand how much of a Christian you are. People marry 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. The woman has not conceived. With what you have seen and grown up with, can we still go with no sex before marriage? Let's be realistic.
That's a tough one.
Because if you go to Samsung electronic shop, LG, they will test that this product is working. So can we go in the present day reality? Man, no go test what you want buy.
Tested and non-tested. That's it, isn't it?
It's for you to say.
Tested and non-tested. And then there's another statement. Tested and trusted.
Okay.
So this is a tough one. Especially there are hardliners in Christendom who believe that you shouldn't test the ignition of the vehicle to know whether it gives off the right sound.
Vehicle fit not start if you don't test the ignition.
Yeah, whether it needs to be topped a little bit of oil topping or whether you need water in the radiator. So, but this is one of the areas recently that even before people are even talking about getting married, they're already testing.
That's it.
So it shatters the argument about no sex before marriage. Because it's your word against the person who says she's a virgin, for instance. How do you even know that?
Exactly.
Because there's only one way to find out whether someone is a virgin.
Yeah, because why I'm telling you, Alex, why I said don't hide anything or
no, we're not hiding
is that there's this lady. The marriage was consummated by 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. And they dissolved the marriage by 11 p.m. What happened? This lady has been telling this guy, I am obeying the Bible's principles, no sex before marriage. So even to kiss was difficult. But she was wearing girdle and so on. And this guy was very patient. And then, you know, they say the patient dog is the... Not anymore. That was before. So this guy endured. On the wedding day, he was so ecstatic. He was expecting that when they now got to the room, the guy said, okay, let's go and bath together. The lady said, no, go and bath your own.
Even a weak age.
He saw it at the lady being shy. And then allowed her to go and bath. Then he now went to take a shower. She was covered under the duvet. And when he came out, he went under the duvet. The first hand they sliced like this was like the boobs were up to here. Up to here. The guy rushed, shouting blood of Jesus, put on the light and saw that everything the ghetto helped. Even here was as flat as...
There's a title for that.
And the guy woke up everybody who came for the wedding that hour and said, Mban, said, I'm no longer going ahead. So this is why we're saying this, being realistic about this no sex before marriage.
So he witnessed Olympus has fallen.
Olympus has fallen. And that's deception, as long as I know.
Yeah, it's deception. And this is not good. And that's why it's important that two people who want to marry should know each other.
Yes.
I mean, there's no kicking the ball about. You have to know the person you are getting married to. Or else you have to start telling stories that touch.
Yes.
There's another way now. They say you go explain tire. And
so does it involve that they can see each other naked without doing the do? Because if you say...
Okay. There's another angle to this.
Okay.
How would you know, for instance, that the man you're marrying is able and capable?
Very good.
So because at the end of the day, if you marry a man who
cannot use Indomie.
Yes. You know, that cannot, rise up
exactly
like the sun.
Yes.
So how do you know that?
Very good.
So because at the end of the day, there are many ways to...
So should they discuss it or at least do some practical analysis?
Yeah, there has to be practical analysis. We have to be very practical. Because
so that means it needs a review.
Yeah, it needs a review.
It needs a review.
You are going to be stuck with this person all your
life.
It's your wife. You will come home and tell how you have fared during the day.
That's it.
If you get a bad package, you are done.
Yes.
You are done. You are finished. You need to marry right.
Yes.
If you don't marry right,
you divorce right or divorce wrong.
If you don't marry right, if as an ife bulu nketa, ife bulu agu jide nketa or sesa anya sesa, whatever kill the lion, if he gets a dog, oh dear.
Now, why we are pressing on this is because these days sexual, a lot of women talk about sexual satisfaction. The man cannot last more than 2 minutes and so on. They start looking outside and so on. That's why we're discussing this particular area.
Yes, it's. Do you know why this?
Because that's what they call in law consummation of marriage. That's a sexual intercourse. That's a conjugal relations.
Yes, but
has this marriage been consummated? Means have they done the do?
These things have been there in the past.
Okay,
it's just that our forefathers were not loud about their private affairs.
Very good.
Imagine a man coming to tell you that he cannot satisfy his wife. No man will discuss that.
Yes. And was it also responsible why they got 2 wives, 3 wives, and so on?
No. That's. I mean, you can also argue that a man's libido could be part of the reason, but that's not the main reason.
Okay.
The main reason is that you need many hands in the farm. That's actually the main reason.
Main reason.
The libido part is not the number one.
Okay.
It's not the number one. But then, imagine that a man couldn't satisfy his wife 150 years ago. And then the wife is trying to make an issue of it. You know, they will call a meeting. And they're having a meeting. No one will say exactly what the problem is. And the elders will just be murmuring. Can even a saloon? What's the problem? Nobody will say, you know, there are very many mild ways of discussing sex in our society. Because nobody will come and say that, I think there's a way to say it in different ways. I think, I don't know whether it's Abia or Imo that say that. No, that So, I mean, if you don't get satisfaction from your husband, it's also a problem. The warmth of your husband is important. But then if you're not getting enough of that, and you know that maybe the neighbors, your neighbor is getting that. You know, women can be very competitive in that direction. If they know that another person close to them is getting a fair treatment, especially in the other room, they will start pressuring you. So this is a big issue. Because of social media, because of the big pharma, people are selling stuff that give you sexual enhancement.
Yes.
And people are learning also how to do self-satisfaction, even women. So these can also stretch the kilometer you will cover to get them to the destination. So this is a very important part of the argument people are not seeing.
It's when you say the kilometer they'll cover, it reminds me of this harder issue, and
that is it.
A man will get walk from Lagos to Port Harcourt for 45 minutes by air. So that means if you are on top for 45 minutes, you are on a journey from Lagos to Port Harcourt. It kills a man quickly.
You know, so that's it. It's something. It's between the rock and the hard place.
Yeah, but it's taking me somewhere.
Yes.
Social media and marriage. You know, this, what I'm asking you now is something that came from the Beijing conference, equal rights for women and so on. What is it for you? Social media marriage. Because many ladies, what they don't understand, I mean men, let me not straight it among the ladies, and men don't understand is TV. Alex Ogbodo, reality is reality.
Absolutely.
So social media is painting a lot of picture, just like the picture of enhancement of image of women.
Yes.
And some women have not understood, and they go to live in their husband houses with what they see on the social media.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start this by just explaining something. If you want to upload a picture on Instagram, you have the option to enhance that picture. You know, a picture that is obviously dark, and you start casting some contrast on it, you brighten it, you even do some saturation.
Yes.
And by the time you finish, you are looking far more handsome than you are supposed to be.
Yes.
But you know what you've done. You are giving an impression that all is well.
Yes.
This is a smiling man wearing a red cap. But then maybe behind that man, you could be having
There's a mask.
Yeah, like you could be having a boil or a headache or anything.
Exactly.
So a lot of people consume what they see on social media and they take it to be real. A lot of people put out things just for make-believe, just to feel among, just to belong, just to join the bandwagon. And it's this bandwagon effect that is creating the problem. Because it's like joining a challenge. When you join a challenge on social media, whether that challenge suits you or suits your line of work or suits your standing in society.
It's like this,
well,
by Brain Jota.
The saving
I have even joined
it. Yeah, you've got one God. But
yes.
The saving grace in that is that you're dancing to a great song.
Yes.
That's it. So other than that, imagine you were dancing to another kind of song. You will get very nasty comments down there. But then what it tells you is that social media tend to take you to a place that is not real. But you know the truth. You know the truth. You can even borrow some clothes and take some pictures.
Exactly.
And keep uploading.
Post by a private jet.
Yes. But at the end of the day, you know the truth. The truth is that all that shiny pictures and those
It's for the social
enhanced
media.
videos, they are not real.
Yeah.
You will come back to earth. When you finish moving around in
Hunger
space,
go catch you, go drink Gary.
you will come back to earth. When you come back to earth, you know that the earth is spherical and that it goes around the sun.
This reminds me of what happened in a movie I did. But they said it was a real story. This lady has been talking to this guy. The guy poses, sits on a table by his bar, having a drink. And, for ladies who are attracted by the money a guy has, they refuse to ask questions. And that's the need for this topic. So this lady was a 5-footer or a 6-footer, beautiful. Never asked this guy for a video to see him walk around the house. And then I told his people, this is the lady I've been talking with, and we have agreed to get married. And then everything went on, and he lives abroad. So expectations were very high. The guy sends her some good money, even bought her a car. On the guy's arrival in Nigeria, they didn't even meet. And then the guy surfaces on the wedding day. When they opened the car door, the cement, the guy was shorter than Aki and Popo. And when she saw the guy, he said, no, now the face, when I see, but not the man. And the father said, you marry him. You should have asked him to stand, walk around in the house. He was only showing you beautiful pictures of the sections of the house. The father insisted. Even though she was stubborn about it, but the father said, this is the husband you showed us, you must go ahead and marry him. So people must understand and realize that social media has a lot of mask around it. Somebody poses in a very borrowed background, and then when he does his skit, he goes to drinking his Gary. People must be very careful. And what I want to ask here is for those of us who have influence on the social media, do you think they are responsible for the fake lifestyle people live? Do the social media influencers, bloggers, do they influence fake lifestyle?
Absolutely. They say the TV is responsible for the pictures in our heads.
Okay.
And because a picture can tell 1,000 stories. Now, if you move that upwards, social media is a bit more ubiquitous than TV the way it is. You can imagine a TV station that is not on social media. So social media in itself, just a multiplicity of platforms where people post all sorts of things.
Yes.
But then people are now posting the life they want to live, not the life they're living.
They're living. Very good.
So it's now misleading people to believe that that is the life they live in reality. But in reality, it isn't. People are doing what I want to call make-believe. It's you have it down, but you don't have it tomorrow. People are always buying mansions. 300 million mansion, buy a car of 400 million. But then next tomorrow, the person is nothing. So you are wondering, someone with such humongous wealth will just come crashing in a blink of an eye. So you're wondering, what went wrong?
What went wrong, yeah?
Or is it all this that we saw? Was it just audio wealth?
Yes.
Was it just something in the horizon that disappeared as we got closer? So people must be circumspect. When you see something online, you have to query it.
Investigate.
Interrogate. Dig deep.
Yes.
Don't just take everything posted out there as the truth and run with it. Because some people don't actually separate mainstream media and social media. That's where there's a problem.
I think so.
And because the moment you're able to separate mainstream media from social media, it helps you to know that the one is news and one is make-believe.
All right. It brings me to asking you about, in our Asian society, I'm going to say Asian, where our great-grandfathers lived, there was the traditional way of settling issues between a husband and a wife. A wife is reported to have messed up here and there, or a husband also has had some misconduct, goes to the father. Father calls the son or calls the lady in question, and so on. I find it a very good way that we should have maintained than going to court, divorces, and so on. So, with your background as a solutions journalist and so on, investigate, what can we borrow and what can we retain in the present realities about the traditional ways of settling issues between
there's something
that can make it not to go to court?
There's something our people say in Igbo. Ezioku bundu.
Yes, truth is life.
So if you build a relationship in truth, it saves you a lot of trouble.
Exactly.
So I mean, because at the end of the day, what will bring problems between a husband and a wife will sometimes and most times be hinged upon a lie. And then trying to cover up a lie, you find another lie.
You tell them more lies.
So
yes.
you keep piling those lies up until you just can't lie anymore. So what I have seen is that we've come to the point of no return. We've come to the point of no return. What I think that all we should do is to pray. We should pray that if you have children growing up, tell them the essence of saying the truth and staying true. The essence of faithfulness, the essence of fidelity, the essence of one mother, one mother, one mother, one mother. Do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. So if you cheat on a woman, you know she will be heartbroken. If you cheat on your man, the way men respond to being cheated on is different from how women respond to it. Because for a man, the man feels that his pride has been taken away when the woman cheats on him. It makes him feel powerless. So in that respect, that's why men tend to be very, very punchy in the way they respond. So how can you cheat on me? Hey, hold me. You know, imagine that the person is a tattoo holder in his village. You know, or whatever it is that a person holds. So they take it personal because you are supposed to be the crown of the home. And then you just find out that the person you're supposed to be married to isn't indeed faithful to you. And the other way around. Truth, you know, can actually solve this problem before you start going to court. Because the moment you go to court, everyone will want to prove his case. And the moment you want to prove your case, you will need lawyers to prove them.
Yes.
And you start throwing things at each other.
Yes.
You know, everything will be thrown, including the things you don't want. And that's when you start hearing, after all, this and that. You know, very messy things will start coming out. After all, you were not doing this. After all, you are not doing that will start coming out.
Yeah. I heard you say when a woman cheats, the man feels that the pride has been taken away. Now we're talking about cheating. You're from where actually?
I'm from Enugu State.
Very good. Where in Enugu?
In Kano West.
Very good. I hear that in the Nsukka area and so on, there's always this punishment for a woman who cheats. That it kills her husband silently. I don't know what it is in Kano.
You know, even in that Nsukka you mentioned, it's not like it's general.
Okay.
I think that has to do with the man.
Okay.
It's a decision the man will take. It's the man that will activate that nuclear bomb, if you like. You know, that or whatever it is,
yes.
or that surveillance mechanism he has. He planted in the woman that if you, the moment
Is it planted?
Well, I mean, because there has to be a connection before it works. I'm sure you will have to have a connection with the woman. Okay, met you something now for that to come into effect. Because that's the only way it comes into effect. I'm not sure it works remotely. Maybe we should ask more questions to that.
Yeah, I think we should ask.
Because if you're married to the person, you are always with the person. You know, just a tap on the shoulder is enough. And it's in. It's remote controlled, isn't it?
So I wouldn't know. That's what I'm asking you.
I said that. I haven't done it before. So, but the point is that even in my area, there isn't a law. But you see that when you marry someone, you are supposed to be dedicated to the person. So if you cheat on your husband, you know you have done something wrong. But you see, at the end of the day, it's when you're caught cheating that it becomes an issue. A lot of people can do it and get away
with it.
So when you're caught cheating, it becomes a big issue.
Yeah, but I hear that in some areas, aside in Soka and so on, that as long as you're in a marriage, you're cheating, that it takes away some years from the man's life. That's exactly what I'm trying to find out here. Because some people...
I don't think that's true, first of all.
Okay.
Wherever it is, except maybe that's something that someone has gone to swear to.
Okay.
In which case that the thing will be chopping off, the person's lifespan. Where I come from, it's not so. Except, people who are always at liberty to go and activate whatever they want. It's their life. But it's not, just like I would say, it's not general.
Yeah, but some ladies also contend that why is it a man's word? He can have affair somewhere, but the woman cannot have affair.
Well,
I've had women discuss it and say, why?
It's a very valid argument.
Valid?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
No, think about it.
Did you see any woman marry two husbands in the Bible?
No, well, you see, that's the point. If you marry a woman, but if the other woman you're going to isn't your wife, does it seem fair? I mean, we are humans.
Is it about being fair or the way things are structured?
Who structured it?
Nature.
How did nature structure it? You went and married someone.
Yes.
And then...
You married. The person didn't come to marry you.
Yeah, whatever it is. Because you have a commitment to each other. My thought is, if you want a second wife, you open the conversation and get a second wife. People are at liberty to marry as much as they want. But if you have a wife and then you are not trying to marry another person, you didn't open any conversation, and then suddenly there are reports about this. I mean, if you're a human being, it will hurt you. And that's why when they want to fight back, they fight back with everything they've got.
Second wife issue. Are you averse to marrying second wife?
From what I'm seeing now, is it not
or because of your church background?
No, it's not. I mean, I'm Christian enough.
So why won't you help the women by making sure you patronize their local government?
Typically, I'm not going to take a second wife.
Why?
But then, because it's a choice. It's a choice.
Or you don't have the capacity?
No, it's not. A lot of people who are not even married are not married because they don't have capacity. There are men who are financially stable, but they are not married. So it goes beyond capacity. It's about whether this is the value you want to project. People who are marrying, well, obviously, there is a material side to getting a second wife. Because you see, for you to keep two women satisfied, it goes beyond being good in the other room.
Yes,
because
a man who has also got a second wife.
Everybody must chop. Breakfast no be your mate. That's what it is.
But then those who come from larger families sometimes tell you the advantage of having many people to relate with and how strong their father was and so on to be able to effect that command and control amongst the many women.
Until you watch them fight.
They can fight dirty.
You watch the fight in polygamous families. In fact, a lot of the cities in the southeast, the reason why some of the areas that are not yet developed that have brown zincs, those houses cannot be sold, is because not one person can sell it without the consent of the other people. There are a lot of houses owned by polygamous homes.
Yes. But even the ones, siblings of the same fight.
Yeah, I know. But a lot of those buildings, go and find out. I don't want to start mentioning the areas. I don't want to start stigmatizing my state. There are areas in Enugu, you find very old buildings. The part of the reason why you have those old buildings is that those buildings belong to polygamous homes. You can't just sell. If you sell that property without the consent of the other family members, thunder and lightning will start coming down. In fact, if you move around, you see the caveats there. This property is not for sale. This is a family. This is a property in dispute. Some people will tell you the case is in court. They can be that blunt with you, and they put it on the property. So there are very many disadvantages to it. Our forefathers were marrying more than one woman.
Because
were marrying many women majorly because they need the numbers.
Farm work, the farm work, invasion by other communities and so on.
Yeah, because you needed the numbers. And if you look at what has happened in the last 30 years, the number of children Igbo families are having are reducing.
But it discouraged promiscuity.
What discouraged promiscuity?
The number of wives, because a man would just see it. It wasn't like it happened in the Bible, and that's why I say that our people are specially made. In the Bible, you found a woman very fair. Fair in the Bible means beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You take her as a wife, and then you don't have mistresses.
But that's the Bible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The reality is that our fathers also lived that way. That they found a beautiful woman. They say, "Onyemologe." They come and make the arrangements and bring you home. They didn't have
where I come from. There's also another angle to it. If you are a strong man, if you are strong with farm work, you can dance very well, or you can hunt very well. Young women will like you. That's it. They call it Ibasomad.
Yes.
And then what will follow is that you will have to go and marry the person properly. You will have to go and marry the person properly.
But then you didn't have girlfriends, side chicks by their side.
Well, you see, times are
no
changing.
venereal disease and so on.
Well, you may never be sure about that.
Our fathers,
people died of things they can't explain.
Yes.
You don't know what killed some people. People died of things they can't explain because they didn't have advanced medical science. Fine, they had herbs, roots and herbs, but people still died of ailments. I'm sure you heard
they
those
died at
things.
a good old age.
That's what everybody claims. Some people in the past also died young. Do your research, you will know these things. It's not like everyone that lived 150 years ago died at 90. There are ways of finding out whether, their life could have been, well, in terms of the kind of diseases people are having now, maybe cardiovascular diseases, they may not have had a lot of them because they were not pumping up a lot of things that clogged their arteries. But then, people died of things.
Yeah, people died of things and they're still dying of things. And I still say that some of things are like this issue of Egombute and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't there last 50 years and so on. And so where do you situate this?
Yeah,
among the things that are killing young men and so on. Yeah, and many parents are not asking questions.
That's what I said about the changing times. Civilization and social media and pressure, societal pressure, value system is crumbling. And people are looking on to what you can bring. How much does he have?
Yes.
So, as opposed to
putting unnecessary pressure on the young man.
What do you do for a living? Now the question is probably, can you afford it? If you can afford it, no problem. So nobody's asking, what does he do for a living? Is he earning an honest living? No one asks about that anymore. They just ask you, money na water. That's it.
No, very unfortunate, very unfortunate. Also, we're going to round up very shortly. We found out that when our people travel abroad, like what this story we told about this lady and this guy getting married and found out they were brothers and sisters. You have this situation where people start living like Oyibo because they're out of Nigeria. And there's no familial relationship again. That community life is gone and so on. What's your advice to those who live in the diaspora, who are trying not to communicate with anybody? Before your brother comes to this house, he has to call us on phone and so on. I don't think it's good for a healthy African community.
Well, you see, generally speaking, I don't know why it's happening, but it looks like when people travel abroad, they tend to get this condescending aura about them. They start looking at people in Nigeria or in Africa
as people of diabolical backgrounds.
Even apart from that, they think you're not knowledgeable enough. There's always that condescending air. They're looking at you. Why if I couldn't imagine in Nigeria?
Exactly.
Why if I couldn't imagine in Nigeria?
Yes.
You hear that a lot.
Yes.
And, small thing that concerns money. Any small thing, you say, bring money.
We're paying bills, as if we don't pay bills
so,
here.
It just looks just like people in Lagos will think that people elsewhere don't struggle and don't hustle enough. That's the thought. People who live for Lagos think that, all other people in other parts of Nigeria are not doing anything. They are just idle. They're just sleeping and waiting for people in Lagos to bring money. People abroad do that. I don't think it's nice. I mean, you can decide not to do anything for anybody. That's fine. You don't rub it in. Just don't rub it in.
Can you really decide not to do anything for anybody? Well, being an African.
Well, but as you can see, there are people who are normalizing.
I said something on the social media last week, and it trended so much. This idea of somebody has been asking you for money, you send the money to the person. The person receives the alert and said, sin. I mean, but of course, that's inheritance mentality. That sense of right.
It's not even inheritance mentality. If you beg, use the word beg, not even ask. If you beg someone for money and the person sends you the money, you have to thank the person.
Exactly.
It is your duty to be grateful.
Yes. Or
it is
somebody
duty.
Asking you or some kaka.
Yeah, it's your attitude to gratitude. Because some people might be opened up the way you thank them. Maybe in your heart, you are thinking that the money you gave them was actually too small. And then the way they thank you, you'll feel like, it happens a lot. Hi, he was so grateful. And I decided to top it up for him.
And it's even worse for those of us, you and I, who appear on TV, who are thought to be billionaires.
You don't understand the kind of things I get in my
Ogbodo,
inbox.
One night, what kind of Eastern Eye. Yana chairman of the station Neliko Nefosite 30,000 naira. I'm not know former minimum wage.
They don't know.
All right. Well, I think that's what we say. It was a good discuss today on K.O.K. Live on Afiatv, and Alex Ogbodo, must thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you, the great
We
K.O.K.
look forward to having you again on other topical issues.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for being our special guest today by watching us and being a good viewer. Keep up watching up on K.O.K. Live on Afiatv, the one-stop station for news, information, analysis, and so on. The voice of the Southeast, our signature. Thank you for watching.